Hello and welcome. My name is Karen and I'm from Trapology Boston. We are an escape room and an immersive entertainment company. Today we are joined by Carly, Kristin, and Jasmine from Intramersive. Hello all. If you guys could
Hello.
I would love to hear a little bit of each of you guys and maybe a fun fact that people can't find just by Googling you.
Well, I'm Carly Dwyer. I'm the founder and creative director at Intramersive. And fun facts you can't find by Googling me. Let's see. I used to work for the circus. So,
I'm Kristin. I'm the dramaturg for Intramersive and a co-writer on a lot of projects. And I guess a fun fact that you can't find about me on Google would be I was a certified EMT for 4 years when I lived in Pennsylvania.
My name's Jasmine Graham. I technically am the art director on Intramersive, but as there isn't a lot to art direct these days, I've been drafted onto the writing team. And there isn't actually a whole lot you can't find about me on Google because I'm an older millennial and I do not give a single, well, can we swear?
Yes, you can. Feel free to.
Yeah, I don't give a single fuck. So like, I read a lot of gay romance, paranormal novels. I was in a tampon commercial. Like, my life's an open book.
Also, if you find her on Goodreads. Her reading list is magical. It's magical.
Yeah, dig hard enough, you can find it. I'll never hold office. That's fine.
I love it. I love all these little details. I feel like by some of your faces, you guys were also discovering new things that you guys didn't know.
I didn't know that Kristin, yeah, now I know who performs CPR if push comes to shove.
I am still certified in CPR, so.
I love it. I love it. If you guys could just tell me a little bit about Intramersive.
So yeah, so Intramersive was founded in 2017. I hope that's right. I was there. And we are a immersive game theater company. So we hybridize the idea of immersive theater, LARP, and kind of interactive theater, trying to create immersive environments that anybody off the street could walk into. You don't need to read a big rule book. You don't need to invest a lot of time in costuming and character building. You can just walk in and experience a world that is fully realized, that also interacts with you and gives you autonomy as the audience to be a part of the world and have real impact on the outcome. We were seeing a lot of theater that was bits and pieces, but we weren't seeing anything that really came together and did all of that. So that's where we came from.
Awesome. Perfect. And then, I mean, I know that that's what you guys strive to do, but I would love to hear if there was there one moment or was there a series of moments where you were like, this is what I want to do. This is my passion. And this is it.
So for me, it was, I've been a theater person and a LARPer pretty much my entire adult life. I started LARPing my freshman year of college. I started doing theater when I was like in school, like elementary school. And throughout, like, you know, my former careers, I was a high school theater teacher. And so teaching theater and teaching acting and doing it in an educational setting, and then also having been a LARPer, and then somehow through the magic of Google, my students had found out I was a LARPer and asked me to run a LARP with the school. So like then I was teaching theater and teaching LARP, and there was something that I saw existing in both worlds, that I knew about existing in both worlds from having done both worlds, was the act of LARP and the act of acting develops what I like to call parallel empathy. So when you're playing a character, you don't ever become that character, but you start to like understand them. You start to understand them in a different way. You can have your own feelings and ideas, but you also start to understand their motivations and their feelings and ideas. And you kind of live with them in a parallel way. And I think what that does for people is create this enormous rounded sense of empathy. And, you know, working with my students, seeing the LARP and the acting work together and seeing kind of how wonderfully like new and interesting and critical they're becoming in their thinking and the way that they approach problems. I was thinking like there should be a way to make this accessible to anybody. Like you don't have to spend your life committing to acting, which is a brutal profession and very daunting art form. And you shouldn't have to commit yourself to LARPing, which can be overwhelming and expensive and frankly very threatening to a lot of people that are just not that into it. So knowing that I had both of those worlds and I knew how to run both of those worlds, the Venn diagram was what I wanted to create for anybody who, again, just wanted to buy a ticket and walk in off the street and experience something and really feel like they could connect with it. And I started playing around with it, and I dabbled in a few other shows before I founded Intramersive. And then the first Demonology was our first show, which was a reaction to basically kind of coming up on the North Shore and working in Salem's tourism industry since 1995. You can all figure out how old I am now. And then coming up through that, realizing that there was this, like, it's very easy to Monday morning quarterback the Puritans, and you don't have to like excuse them for what they did, but you do have like to understand what the victims went through and what people went through. You kind of have to see it from their point of view. And we just wanted to approach a show from that perspective. And that's really where we started from, was just wanting to do a one-off show, see if the concept worked, see if we could actually create a sense of empathy where people really wanted to help the Puritans, but also see if they could come up with a different solution. And most of the time we found no, they could not come up with a better solution, but they thought they were coming up with a better solution. And that was fascinating. And it worked. It worked. And then people were like, so what's the next thing you're doing? What's the sequel to this? And then it was just it just took off from there. And then we, bringing on Jasmine and Kristin has been huge in the process. We've worked with a number of different writers, and then it was just kind of finding the core team of what really made this work. So here we are. We're expanding our boundaries. Like we kind of got into doing a lot of historical museum theater, which we love, and it's definitely something we're continuing with. But COVID has really opened up the possibility of doing more contemporary work, which is what we were going into anyway, and kind of playing with more fantasy, and then also getting us to go online, which was new and different. So I also have a tendency to ramble. So.
No, I was just going to jump in and add, I actually have just joined. I've only been on the Intramersive team for about a year and a half now. So I'm actually the newest on the team, but I come from a place of doing, I'm a historian, my degrees are in history, and that's kind of the world that I was brought up in. But I have done first person interpretation for history. And so when I first was introduced to Intramersive, it was seeing Demonology Oakham, because I had two friends that were on the cast of the show and wanted me to go and see what they were working on. And just seeing how well theater worked with history, it made me just want to do it. And so when Carly did reach out to me and said, hey, we want you to help us write a show about seances, and I was just like, yes, I'm so glad that I finally got asked, because it is that ability to sort of put people in that history in a way that is both engaging and informative, but also not intimidating, because I feel like there's a lot of historians, especially also working in Salem tourism, that toe the line between heavy-handed and informative. So I feel like what Intramersive does, by immersing people and inviting them to be a part of it, it opens that door and it opens that gate for people to be able to properly engage with that history and to empathize with it and to understand it on a level that you won't if you just walk into a museum with a docent. So for me, that's what attracted me to working with Intramersive. And now, of course, getting into all of the fantasy things that we've been doing and pivoting with the virtual things, it's just teaching, I feel like we could do it all. And it's giving people a way to get into these worlds that maybe might be intimidating otherwise.
Awesome.
Oh, is it my turn? Do I have to talk?
You don't have to. I just didn't,
So here's the kind of funny thing, we've done a couple of interviews because I feel like everyone has time and they're like, tell us more about yourself, because I haven't talked to anyone but my cats all day. And we're like, okay. I don't play games and I hate improv. So you may ask yourself, why does she work for an immersive theater company? And the answer is the power of friendship. Yeah, so Carly and I met when I was a teenager, and I actually grew up in the Salem tourist industry. So my high school after school job was doing graveyard tours in a bustle. Didn't start out that way, ended up that way. That was also Carly's fault. We can talk about that story later. Someone called out sick and I put the bustle is basically what that whole story is. And so like I grew up in this kind of thing, and I don't think we think of like historical interpretation and haunted houses and kind of all that stuff that has become the immersive industry as such, because like for us, like if you grow up in the Cape, you scoop ice cream, you're a lifeguard. If you grow up in Salem, you're a rubber monster. Like that's just like how you do. That is your after. That is this industry in the environment. And then, you know, I grew up, I went to art school, ended up working with Carly when she was an educator. I was an arts educator. We're like, cool, we could educate together. So where she goes, I go, I guess, at this point. It's like a creative common law marriage.
Yeah. No, my husband understands that you're primary and executive wife, so.
Yeah. I don't know. I might be your husband. Like we went with like really binary gender roles, but like the interesting thing about immersive theater is Carly likes to joke when we're in development meetings. Is she's like, well, is this something Jasmine would want to play? And the answer is almost always no. And then we work on it a little, and then it turns into like a soft maybe. And we know at that point that we've got a show that other people aren't doing.
That is really cool.
Well, I think the funniest like side, like weird thing about the pandemic, like the pandemic is actually is I don't want to sound like it was, you know, like when it first happened, it was all about survival mode. But I think because we've engaged with it in a way of like, well, what can we do? What is possible? We've ended up actually having a lot of fun, and we've learned a lot. And in the weirdness of the pandemic land, like Jasmine became a game designer. And no one saw that coming.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, well, I think some of it was just because I knew how tech worked. So like my day job's in tech, like I work in IT. So, you know, we were sitting around and we're like, well, what can we do? And we saw some of the other stuff that was coming out, and it was very early days. So like no one kind of knew what they were doing yet. And I came up with this idea, and we were like throwing around ideas like, what can we do on Zoom? What can we do on Google Hangouts? And the idea I threw out was like, oh, you know, it'd be hilarious is like magical help desk with magical IT. Because everyone's engaging with IT more, everyone's engaging with their technology more, everyone's social life is coming off of Zoom. We are on Zoom right now. So it was like a way to like acknowledge the situation we're in without like, you know, the scary like death toll that was going on, but like very much be in the moment. So I texted a couple of my other friends who also work in IT, and we were all cracking up, and that is how Magical Help Desk was born.
That's so great. So anyone that needs help, I'm just gonna send them to the Magic Help Desk, and then I'm good to walk away.
Yeah. And honestly, like when like Magical Help Desk like floated our way, it was really it played into kind of everybody on the team's strengths. Like, you know, Kristin is our dramaturg, which if you don't know what a dramaturg is, it's like usually the person in the theater production who, like, it was described to me when I was studying theater as like you're the defender of the text. And in what we do in devising, Kristin is kind of the defender of like not over-interpreting history and making sure that we're being accurate and sensitive and not overlaying our own context onto it to force meaning out of them that doesn't exist. So that's very much what she does. But her like, I'm gonna speak to her for Kristin. Kristin's like great skill in this, and she's also a folklorist. So in exploring how culture interacts with its mythology. So like when Jasmine came back with Magical Help Desk, like, and all these like wonderful ideas, and like Jasmine has this incredible wealth of history of like growing up in a very like culturally like folkloric way, and you know, and I come from the theater end of it and the gaming end of it, and so like it kind of played into all of our strengths, and we all kind of got to nerd out on the same project. And then the other writers that came in with it also are, you know, IT people that are fantasy writers and like really fun tech creatives, and suddenly like everybody just had their own little piece of it to chew on that was like really fun and nerdy and something that we could turn to when like, you know, the news conferences got too much. And that's also that was our driving idea behind our pivot entirely, and I think Magical Help Us is so great with it, is we wanted to create distractions that brought people together but didn't feed into anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And we really wanted to give people something to do, like a game to play that had stakes and had fun and had a sense of triumph at the end of it. But like, if you didn't triumph, who the fuck cares? Like, there was like, the stakes were high, but the outcome wasn't tragic. You know, like, if you can't help Wendell, the libertarian wizard, help fix his wand, then it's kind of funnier. And if you do help him, great. Like, you know, like that was, it's kind of, so like that was really what we were going for, is these fun, really engaging, you know, encounters and games that felt like, you know, that were live encounters with people, that you got to bond, you got to be helpful, you got to do something, but like in the end, don't stress about it. And I think some of the best feedback we've gotten from people is they play it and they came back and they're like, I felt like I accomplished something that day. I'm not sure what that thing was, but I felt like I accomplished something. And we're like, that's exactly what we wanted you to feel. Like, I don't know what just happened, but I'm glad it did.
Whether it's troubleshooting a security system or being a therapist for a princess, I mean, you've accomplished something.
Well, and I think too, it like helps with that anxiety bleed, because like right now we're living in this like crazy, horrible time where everything's uncertain and changing all the time. So like we've had a lot of people come back and be like, I was so nervous before I took the call, and then afterwards I was very relaxed. And I think it's just like that, like, you know, stress relief, right? Like you tense up, you relax. It's like the same, you guys do escape room, so it's like the same idea, right? Like it's this false sense of anxiety that helps you actually like lead off some of that like weird chemical nonsense that your body does, because we're still running like hunter-gatherer 2.0 in the year of our dark lord 2020.
Right.
And I think and we're game testing our newer version of Magical Help Desk, because when we launched it, people were like, I love this, I want to call back, I want to be the caller, and I want my friends to play. And we were like, you know, there was a very long conversation about like, well, tech support's not a group activity. But like, you know, then again, it was fun. We had to troubleshoot it, and we've been game testing it, and it's actually we've gotten some wonderful feedback on it, where people again come up with the anxiety of, I didn't want to mess it up, I didn't want to do the wrong thing. And I feel like I don't want to do the wrong thing is so much about every choice you make today. Of like, I don't want to do something that's going to screw this up for somebody else, is the mindset that I feel like, you know, that's going to get your mail, like that's going to the grocery store. And people have come into it being like, I was so worried because I didn't want to mess it up. And then they realize that like, you can't. You really, like, anything you do just makes the game more fun.
Right.
And then suddenly it's, you know, do you solve the problem? We don't know. Like, what, like, eventually, what is the problem? Like, what are we here? Like, you know, it's not to say that it's chaos. It is, but like our, you know, like again, the actors and on our end, like we do guide it towards something, so you do feel accomplished at the end of it. But you realize that, you know, it's a great opportunity to kind of come in and sideways confront that anxiety of, I didn't want to mess it up and I didn't want to do the wrong thing. I didn't want to ruin it for somebody else. And then just going for broke and having fun and trying out wild ideas and just kind of realizing that like it's in this space, it's okay. You know, it's have fun with it.
Yeah, and I think that's really cool because it gives people a chance just to kind of like escape and just be like, yeah, if whatever I do, I'm really not messing up anything that's going to be catastrophic. And I think it's really cool that someone came back and was like, hey, I did this, but I would love to do it again and kind of expand on it. So I think that, you know, with you guys have an amazing team, and you guys have all this wonderful, like, work together, teamwork, inspiration stuff. I mean, I would love to hear a little bit about, you know, did you ever have a point where it was like, this is the weirdest part to find inspiration from, especially being based in Salem for you guys? Like, was there ever something like, wow, this really worked, but you're like, how did I get here from that?
Ooh.
I feel like being in Salem is like the inverse. Like, I feel like what is normal places of inspiration for us, where we're like, oh yeah, no, everyone gets inspired when they go by that oak tree in the graveyard. Like, what's normal for us, like, so like, for us, I think like for me, I get like the weird places to get inspired is like Home Depot. Like, you know, like when you're sitting there being like, You know what would be nuts? It's like you know, I don't know, like I never actually got inspired to Home Depot, but like I'm trying to think of like I feel like for me the weird places to get inspired are the places that are completely disconnected from the content we do. And since we have so much accessibility to I think what everyone designates as like the weird stuff,
Yeah.
it's the mundane stuff that I think is strange to us. Like honestly, I feel like scones are the weird one right now.
Scones are definitely the weird one. You would never, yeah, I think with Pass the Sugar, we did not expect people to be able to come up with like a complete system of open sexual communication while talking about scones, but the scones were the gateway to the best communication we've ever seen adult humans have.
And actually, when that game was first pitched to us, I was like, I mean, it sounds cool. I don't know if it's gonna work. And then, like in like the kind of time of like contemplating it, I was like, no, you're right. Scones are super dirty. Didn't see that coming. I don't know. That's Jasmine. Do you have anything to weigh on that or?
No, I'm just real weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think yeah. Well, I was gonna say I think too Magical Help Desk is kind of proof of that because it is kind of different from. It's so different from a lot of things from what I know I've worked on with Intramersive, and I don't want to speak for anybody else, but it was so different from things they had done before because it is something as simple as calling IT. but Jasmine and the other writers like who started Magical Help Desk created this entire world around calling IT that again that has been this like wonderful escapism experience for people, and you wouldn't think you could get that from calling IT, but we made it happen.
well, it like to a certain extent it kind of comes from what happens when you call IT. So like it's a little bit of a quest, right? So like you're going on this journey, you have a goal, you don't know how you're going to get there. And then like IT is inherently like that like tiny bit magical. So even though you're playing a possibly mundane person answering questions for the magical, like when you go into, you know, when you call your service provider, you call tech support and you're like, this thing doesn't work, and they're like, hit 3 buttons, turn it off, turn it back on again, and it works. You're like, oh, magic. And it's like, I like on the other, like as the person on the other end of the line, I'm like, magic. Anything else today?
Well, I mean, I'll be like, I will totally own up to the fact too that like kind of the wonderful thing I think about how the team works right now is like Jasmine brought Magical Help Desk to us, and I thought the concept was amazing. And then I kind of pushed back on her with a lot of things about it because I had to like literally unpack that just the concept of IT calls stresses me out. Like the entire idea of being on an IT call stresses me out. Like right before this, Jasmine was walking one of our actors through an IT problem for an hour, and I was both stressed out even though it wasn't my problem, while also thinking that Jasmine was basically a wizard. And was like throwing it up in the chat. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. How does this all happen? And
I read an article.
That I'm very sorry. That leaf blower is my neighbor. Do you want me to
hear it?
You can hear it.
I can hear it.
Oh my God, it's like so. I have like my weird haunted mic on, so like it's super loud in my ears. I'm glad you can hear it. So like I like. You know, Jasmine bringing in this complete perspective that I had never thought of. Like I had to actually kind of unpack the fact that like IT could be a fun perspective, and like the idea of letting the chaos unfold on the other side of the phone and not over managing it is a fun perspective. So, and I think, you know, when working in a team where, and like, you know, on Smoke and Mirrors, like, you know, we wrote out this kind of like character plot, and Kristin comes in and she's like, you know, very, very politely, like, well, actually, and like coming in and adjusting, but realizing that like but again, the idea that we can come in and we can give each other that feedback and be like, so I know you were coming at it from this angle, but I think but this is a better angle, or this is kind of the different way to look at it. And knowing that like that person, like we're all in it for the show, we're all in it to kind of create the best product that's, I also think, how we build such multidimensional worlds is, you know, nobody can get too proud of their position, and nobody can like you have to be willing to kill your babies in this. Like, bring a show to the table and let the rest of us kind of take a look at it, and then also be willing to be like, you know what, I don't know if it's going to work, but it doesn't matter if I don't think it works. If it works, it works. It's great. And like I said, I had to kind of completely swallow the fact that my anxiety about tech support was my only hang up with Magical Help Desk. And Jasmine's like, well, we're just going to game test it. And then it was brilliant. And I was like, okay, you were 100% right.
I will also say some of that comes from working in IT. So there's that whole well, we'll just beta it. We'll just release the beta. It'll be fine. We'll see who breaks it. And I think coming from live experiences, you can't mess with people that way. You can't be in a room full of people. You can't be okay, guys, so this might get dangerous and weird, but bear with us. We'll see if it's structurally sound. Let's all go in. That's not something you can do with humans, but it's definitely something you can do virtually or with software. So coming into that perspective and being no, it's totally cool. If it breaks, it's great. That's data. And having the rest of Carly be and she's but and I'm yeah, it's not they aren't here. I'm in my house. If it's terrible, we'll just end the call and start over.
I love it. I love everything that you guys are talking about. I love all these new things that you guys are coming out with. I'm going to let you guys go soon, but right before we do, I would love to hear just anything that you guys would like to show off that maybe future projects that won't spoil everything for these people who are watching.
Well, first of all, so we're still ironing out just some kinks on Magical Help Desk tactical field support, which is
tactical field team.
Oh my God, what?
So it's Magical Help Desk tactical field team. Because that's what it says on the graphic I made, and I'm not changing it.
I love it. Right underground.
I made a GIF and I'm not changing it.
That's when you say it wrong more than once, you're like, wait, what's the right one?
Yeah, that GIF was 7 minutes of my life on my phone that I will not get back, and I am not changing the name, by God.
So, Magical Help Desk Tactical Field Team is going to be releasing soon. We're ironing out last few things with it, which is a multiplayer experience, which you can either sign up with a group of friends, your D&D table, or we took a group of singletons the other night where almost nobody knew each other, and that was just madcap fun. It was one person's first time ever role playing ever. Was game testing.
Literally for everybody, anybody and everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
So for everybody, it's a great team activity. So that's coming out. We have other projects in the works. They don't have titles yet. They have hilarious working titles they will not share. But we're playing a lot with kind of how we're hybridizing the idea of opening up society again, and knowing that theater and live engagements are currently stage 4, and that can be anywhere between 6 months to a year away, depending on numbers. But realizing that people are, there are some people who are not burned out of playing on their screens, which is why we're still going to be running Magical Help Desk. We still run Pass the Sugar for private parties. We're still going to run Magical Help Desk Tactical Field Team. But we're also looking to hybridize the experience, so that are there ways that you can have immersive experiences while social distancing, but you're not on your screen. We're transitioning Pass the Sugar Please over to private parties. So if you have a group of friends that kind of want to get together and be naughty over scones, that's something that we're going to keep on our roster. And we're going to be launching another game in the next few weeks called Knock Once for Yes. That is a collaboration between Nick O'Leary and Sharon Wiswas, which is a game about where the player is a first-time medium and they are interacting with a client, and they are trying to talk to ghosts. And I will leave that there. Very on brand for us, but a fun online player, which is a 1 player to 2 more actors experience. So yeah, those are some of what we have coming forward this summer.
All sounds super awesome. I'm super excited. Quick question though. So if people are in different time zones, is that okay?
Yes. Yep, we've Pass the Sugar Please, which is our multiplayer that's currently running. We've had games where we've had everybody at the table's been in a different time zone. So we try to like run a late game East Coast so West Coast can play. We also try to run some early, so you don't have to stay up super late on the East Coast. We try to. It's kind of great because all you have to do is have a Zoom link. There's no venue, like. So we try to be flexible for time zones. We've played with so many people in California. It's been so much fun.
Like you're bringing the whole world together with magical scones.
It's been a very democratizing experience. You know, people trying out LARP with us for the very first time because they don't have to leave the comfort of their home, and if they're uncomfortable, they can just leave, and they didn't invest that much in it. People who would normally not come out to Salem, and then on top of having to come out to Salem and get a hotel room, buy a ticket to come see one of our shows, you know, for $25, $30, they can hop online and play with us and get to experience it. So it's been really fun. We've met a lot of game designers that we really admire, hopping in and playing our games, which has been really exciting. We've also been playing other people's games, which like there's a few companies I've been following in LA that I would, you know, I don't get out there, but now they're online. So now I can play their games. I'm on the wait list for a couple. You're
like traveling the world just from your own home.
Yeah. I'm still trying to get a group together to play that Danish, you might actually be robbing, not Danish, oh my gosh. Where are they out of? They're out of the Netherlands. It's out of Amsterdam. There's one that's like, you rob a bank with a team of people. You might actually be robbing a bank. I'm not sure. It seems very realistic. But I it's fun now that we all kind of get to play in each other's spaces without having to go to Amsterdam or go to London or go to LA. So in the silver linings of a very, very dark time, it's been actually a really great way to kind of bring the community of immersive theater together, where we can kind of start to get a sense of what everyone else does when we can't afford to go see them live. Yay.
Awesome.
So we'll leave it there.
I love all of it. I can't wait to drag my friends in. They won't even know what's going on.
Drag your friends in. We would love for you to come play.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you guys so much. I just want to say thank you again for joining me. I know that you guys are all in different places, so I really appreciate your time. And I'm going to say thank you to also all our listeners and everyone who's super interested to go play these fun games.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.